Are you truly free? Pause for a moment and ponder this. Are you genuinely free? Each morning, what's the first thing you do? Reach for your phone, perhaps. Scrolling endlessly, seeking something novel, something to divert your attention. Then comes the coffee, a quick dopamine hit as you watch a short clip, or perhaps a song to accompany your commute to work or school. More stimuli follow. Podcasts, social media updates, constant notifications. And when silence finally surrounds you, what do you feel? A sense of unease, a void that compels you to seek yet another distraction, another fleeting pleasure. Pleasure in itself isn't the issue. It's a natural mechanism, an evolutionary tool that drives us toward survival. But what transpires when pleasure morphs into a cage? When the incessant need to feel good ensnares us in a loop of instant gratification. Aldous Huxley foresaw this nearly a century ago. While George Orwell warned of a future dominated by oppressive regimes in 1984, Huxley's vision was subtler, yet more insidious. A society so engrossed in entertainment and sensory indulgence that rebellion becomes unthinkable. A world where chains are unnecessary because people cherish their servitude. Look around. We inhabit a culture obsessed with amusement, relentlessly chasing immediate relief from discomfort. But at what cost? Is this ceaseless pursuit of happiness truly liberating, or is it another form of bondage? In this exploration, we'll delve into how contemporary society conditions us to equate pleasure with control, and how this dependency might be transforming you into an unwitting participant in your own subjugation. If you believe you're the master of your mind, stay with us. You might discover otherwise. The illusion of freedom through pleasure. True enslavement doesn't always come with chains. It doesn't necessitate torture, threats, or surveillance. Sometimes all it takes is pleasure, a simple yet profoundly effective tool. When pleasure becomes the focal point of existence, servitude masquerades as freedom. This is the very scenario Huxley depicted in Brave New World. Envision a society where questions are obsolete because entertainment is omnipresent, where the quest for meaning is supplanted by the consumption of trivial distractions. In Huxley's dystopia, individuals are conditioned from birth to shun discomfort. Whenever unease or existential doubt surfaces, the remedy is immediate. A dose of soma, the ideal drug that keeps everyone content and compliant. But is this merely fiction? Reflect on your daily life. When boredom, sadness, or frustration arises, what's your instinctive reaction? Do you confront these feelings or do you immediately seek diversion? Social media, streaming services, food, alcohol, shopping, casual encounters, adult content, gaming. The avenues are endless. We exist in an era of instant gratification, where any discomfort can be quelled within moments with a simple tap. Facing the void is unnecessary. We merely fill it with another pleasure. The most perilous aspect? It all feels like a choice. No one coerces you into consuming entertainment around the clock. No one mandates hours spent on Instagram or TikTok. No one threatens you to make purchases, indulge, or keep scrolling. Yet, if it's a choice, why is cessation so challenging? The answer lies in conditioning. When you habitually seek immediate pleasure to alleviate discomfort, your brain adopts this as the default solution. Over time, you lose the capacity to endure boredom, silence, or introspection. Your mind becomes averse to solitude. Unwittingly, you become the very embodiment of Huxley's prediction, a contented servant, bound not by force, but by pleasure. But how does this conditioning occur? How does it deter critical thinking and entrap us in this addictive cycle? The conditioning mechanism. Have you ever questioned why it's so arduous to stop? Even when you're aware that focus is required, your hand instinctively reaches for your phone. Your brain craves a new notification, a fresh video, another stimulus. This isn't coincidental, it's the result of deliberate training. From infancy, we're conditioned to evade discomfort. Educational systems prioritize rote memorization over critical analysis. The workforce emphasizes productivity over reflection. The entertainment industry inundates us with distractions, ensuring we seldom pause to scrutinize our surroundings. Collectively, this cultivates a society where the peril isn't an authoritarian regime silencing dissent, but a system that erodes our desire to seek truth. Huxley grasped this intricately. In Brave New World, citizens weren't subjected to brutal repression. They were indoctrinated to adore their subjugation. From childhood, they underwent hypnopedia, sleep learning techniques that instilled beliefs subconsciously. Mantras like, "Everyone belongs to everyone," and "A gram of soma solves everything," were embedded to preclude questioning. They matured believing that happiness resided in conformity, in evading profound thought, in fleeing any semblance of suffering. Now, juxtapose this with our reality. Today's conditioning doesn't employ hypnopedia, but leverages social media algorithms, targeted marketing, and a deluge of stimuli that subtly mold your behavior. Each notification triggers a dopamine release. Every effortlessly consumed short video conditions you to avoid deep thinking. Each reward for conformity, be it likes, social validation, or immediate pleasures, reinforces the notion that this path is correct. So, what does this really do to us? When we're constantly bathed in external validation and dopamine-driven distractions, we begin to fear the absence of stimulation. Silence becomes suffocating, stillness becomes anxiety, and so the cycle tightens. You might think you're just having fun, just passing time, but here's a hard truth. The more you turn away from discomfort and deeper thought, the more power you give to systems that benefit from your compliance. These aren't always sinister powers. Sometimes it's just the logic of the market. Companies competing for your attention, your clicks, your money. But regardless of intent, the effect is the same: the erosion of your autonomy. Here's what's worse. This conditioning doesn't just limit your actions, it starts to shape your desires. You don't just consume entertainment, you crave it. You don't just escape discomfort, you loathe it. You don't just seek pleasure, you depend on it. And this dependency transforms from habit to identity. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "I deserve to relax after today. I can't focus without background noise. I need to check what's going on online." That's not just behavior, that's belief. And belief, when repeated often enough, becomes who you are. The disappearance of depth. In a world engineered for stimulation, we're losing something vital: depth. Depth takes time, reflection takes discomfort, growth takes silence. And none of these things pair well with constant distraction. Have you noticed how difficult it is to finish a book these days, or to sit with a difficult question without Googling it, or to have a long, unhurried conversation with someone without checking your phone? That's no accident. You're being trained to skim the surface of life. You're being taught that if something doesn't deliver immediate satisfaction, it's not worth your time. But here's what they don't tell you. The most meaningful parts of life only come when you go deep. Deeper into thought, deeper into emotion, deeper into struggle, deeper into discipline. The richest relationships, the strongest sense of self, the truest sense of freedom. All these live in the quiet spaces you've been taught to avoid. You can't build a strong mind on 15-second videos. You can't build resilience through endless comfort. You can't discover truth if you're constantly sedated by pleasure. That's why the people with the greatest clarity, the deepest wisdom, and the strongest character, they're not the most entertained. They're often the ones who've sat alone with themselves and done the hardest thing of all: faced the mirror without flinching, voluntary enslavement. Now, here's the terrifying part. You didn't fight this control. You welcomed it. You installed the apps. You said yes to the notifications. You traded your focus for likes. You gave your time, your most precious resource, to systems designed to monetize your attention. And they didn't force you. They didn't break down your door. They didn't outlaw your thoughts. They made it fun. They made it easy. They made it feel like freedom. That's what Huxley got right. He understood that the most efficient form of control isn't violence, it's seduction. When you want your chains, no one has to lock you up. When you prefer distraction, no one has to censor you. When you fear silence, you'll police your own mind. And so here we are, free to scroll, free to click, free to consume anything and everything. Except maybe our own thoughts. Except maybe the truth. The cost of comfort. Let's not sugarcoat it. Comfort is intoxicating. Who doesn't want to feel good? Who wouldn't choose the easier path? But the question isn't whether pleasure is bad. It's whether pleasure has become your master. Every time you avoid a tough decision by distracting yourself. Every time you delay doing something meaningful because it's uncomfortable. Every time you reach for your phone instead of reaching into your mind, you're paying a price. Not in money, in potential. You're trading who you could become for the pleasure of who you currently are. You're choosing short-term ease over long-term strength. And when billions of people make that choice, society suffers. We get weaker thinkers, shallower conversations, more division, less patience, more reaction, less reflection. Because building a better world or a better self requires the very thing we're all running from. Effort. Effort to think. Effort to feel deeply. Effort to sit in uncertainty without escaping. Effort to stand for something real in a world built on illusion. Breaking the loop. So now the question is, if this is true, what can you do about it? You can't uninstall the world. You can't stop the machines. You can't erase conditioning overnight. But here's what you can do. Reclaim your attention. Your focus is your freedom. Set boundaries. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Create tech-free zones in your life. Welcome discomfort. Stop running from boredom. Sit in silence. Ask the hard questions even when the answers aren't immediate. Choose depth over ease. Read long-form content. Have long conversations. Pursue mastery in something, anything. Build discipline. Learn to do things not because they're pleasurable, but because they're meaningful. Every time you delay gratification, you build strength. Be alone with yourself, not in a self-hating way, not in a narcissistic way. Just be. Without stimulation, without judgment, without running away. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being conscious. It's about choosing your life instead of drifting through it. The final mirror. Here's the hard truth. Most people will never escape this system. Not because they can't, but because they don't want to. It's easier to live on autopilot. It's easier to follow the herd. It's easier to be entertained than enlightened. But if you've made it this far, if you've questioned even one piece of this puzzle, then you already hold the key to something rare. Awareness. And with awareness comes responsibility. You can no longer pretend you don't know. You can no longer say, I didn't see it. So now you must ask yourself again, are you truly free? Not just legally, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Do you own your attention? Do you face your thoughts head on? Do you choose your actions deliberately? If the answer is no, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to wake up. Not in rebellion, not in anger, but in clarity. Because real freedom doesn't come from escaping discomfort. It comes from mastering it. And the only way out of the matrix is to stop feeding it,